Chapter 8. Love. No gate too strait, no journey too far, when the path is lit by the gleam of the radiant rays of the guiding star of love, the law that's supreme. Love governs all. Much has been written and said of love. Poets have extolled it. Musicians have sung about it. Ballad and play and story are ever unfolding its many-sided drama. Here is the truth about love, they say, and present romantic love a half-truth only, and nearly all the world is deluded. The surging, welling, emotional searching that throbs within the breast of each human being can never be reduced only to a rapport between sexes. Our literature and our education have inhibited us into believing that the end-all of love is the finding of a mate, and our divorce courts and psychiatrist offices play host to the multitudes of unhappy and disillusioned people who have discovered that this is not so. Into one of his strongest physical drives, man has channeled his strongest emotional drive, and while there is not the slightest valid reason that they shouldn't work in conjunction, it is apparent that they often do not. The home and marriage provide simultaneous release for man's sexual drive and the reproductive necessities of society, but neither of these very admirable institutions is in any way a school for love, for no person can love another unless he loves humanity first. Love is all. God is love. It is the nature of our basic unity, the underlying dim remembrance of complete spiritual oneness that keeps us forever seeking union with others. From universal mind we have been differentiated into separateness, isolated within a fleshy prison. And throughout our incarnation in life, we reach out to receive and to give and to commune, to return again to complete unity. Beauty, courage, loyalty, perseverance, creation are all born of love successfully given and received. Distortion, fear, iniquity, hate, resentment, violence, and failure are all born of love frustrated. Thus it is love that governs all, the supreme law of life. Spake Jesus, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. The constant search. We are evolved from pure and eternal spirit, from a place where space and time and number do not exist. From infinity, we are thrust into finiteness. Perceive space and time and number and separateness and other things and beings. Is it any wonder that the terrible longing grows within us to have and hold, to take and be taken, to give and receive, to share, to reach for an earthly realization of that complete sense of belonging that can only be known in absolute unity? Love we seek above all things, for we have known absolute love and are lost without it. And all our hurts are received when our reachings for love are rejected, and all the prompters of the subconscious mind are planted by the buried pain, remembrances of our love rejections. The Apostle Paul wrote, Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not love, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not love, I am nothing. And though I could bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, and have not love, it profiteth me nothing. Love suffereth long and is kind. Love envieth not. Love wanteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in truth, beareth of all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Love never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect shall come, then that which is in part shall be done away with. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I heard in part, but then I know as also I am known. And now abideth faith, hope, love, these three. But the greatest of these is love. In this life, we are isolated from the universal subconscious mind. In our separateness, we see through a glass darkly. In our separateness, we long for the unity that rests at the crux of our subconscious. And this is our motivating force, love. According to how we are able to give and receive it, all things in life come to us. The time will arrive when face to face we shall know as we are known, for the universal subconscious mind is complete unity and thus is love itself, and we shall return to it. Spiritual unity. The negation of love is fear, and fear is the father to hate, and fear and hate, through all their varying degrees, are the seeds from which all evil grows. Is it any wonder, then, that love will overcome all? For with love there is no fear, and with love there is no hate, and with love there is no opposition. True love, then, is simply recognition of the spiritual unity of all life. Once you have realized completely that you and your neighbor are one, it is no longer possible for you to perform an unseemly act against your neighbor. It would be as if you performed it against yourself. Nor can you hate your enemy, for your enemy is also one with you, as like unto you as your very self. All life and all matter are but manifold manifestations of the one immortal self, the universal subconscious mind. It is not the nature of this mind to chastise itself, to fight with itself, or to destroy itself. Anyone who regards life as a battle, who seeks to beat others or destroy them, is doing neither more nor less than beating himself or destroying himself. One, sings the universe. We are all sprung from one intelligence. We all return to one intelligence. There is but one immortal underlying self to all creation. Separated from it in our physical bodies, we desire to know this complete unity again. And it is to this emotional drive that we give the name of love. The child in his crib desires all things, asks for all things, has complete confidence that all things shall be delivered unto him for the asking. So recently has he come from the unity wherein there never was denial. Only slowly does the child come to know that there are other beings than itself who must be considered. Day by day the child learns it cannot have this, it must do without that, it must conduct itself this way and that way. If the child perceives that these denials are directed to it with love, if it is aware of care and companionship and tenderness and concern, it rapidly becomes accustomed to consideration and mutual exchange. But if the child is aware of malice or anger with each denial, then rejection and fear take root. Once reality is given, fear, hate is born, for people fear that which they think may hurt them, and once hurt, they hate the hurter. Thus, fear and hate are reactions to frustrated love. Fear is directed at that which we anticipate will reject our love, and hate is directed at that which has already rejected it. But always our motivations are aimed at finding fulfillment of the urge to unity that wells forever in our subconscious. Hate and love. So hate is akin to love, and is the working of the exact same force. Hate is the negation of love, just as poverty is the negation of abundance. There is only one force at work in love and hate. In love it works positively. In hate it works negatively. And in fear, it doesn't work at all, but chatters unfulfilled and undecided in one spot, now moving tentatively forward, now moving tentatively backward. Few will dispute the power of love, but the vast majority of us have great difficulty bringing it into all aspects of our lives. Hundreds of buried pain remembrances or prompters have set up coping mechanisms within our subconscious so that we automatically are directed to greet certain circumstances or things or people with belligerence, aggression, cruelty, fear, timidity, or 1,000 different other negations that backfire on us daily. Yet all of these prompters can be dissolved by meditation at the center of consciousness, by finding the kingdom of heaven. At this magic center, where all things are known and understood, absolute love will banish fear and hate. What of these two great cripplers? The greatest is fear, for it proceeds phantom-like out of our darker thoughts, has no substance, and thus is difficult to deal with. It hovers its distorted shadows in our dreams and in our waking consciousness. Its many demons lurk around each corner of our lives. It paralyzes, prostrates, immobilizes, bleeds off the stream of dynamic life like a monstrous parasite. It is fear that vanquishes our goals before we have even set out for them. It is fear that tarnishes the looking glass of life. It is fear that squeezes our arteries, restricts our circulation, visits lethargy upon our energies, dulls the brightness of the day, casts a pall of murky foreboding over all the events of life. For fear is but the negative use of faith. Fear is faith in negative things and negative circumstances. Fear believes we are surrounded by a hostile universe and hostile beings all bent upon preying upon us and destroying us, all of which is sheer idiocy. Love dissolves the prompters. How many buried pain remembrances does each of us have? 12? 100? 1,000? Psychiatry has shown us that they form an almost never-ending stream on the time track of subconscious memory, extending from this very day back to the dim perceptions of prenatal experience, when egg and sperm were but recently united in the womb. A great deal of good has been done by psychiatric treatment, but the tedious search for and exposure of each of these innumerable sore spots with the end in mind of building a psychologically sound person is a gigantic and unwieldy process indeed. It is like a farmer who year after year harvests crops which have been afflicted with the blight. From the great mound of wheat he accumulates, he patiently examines each stalk for evidences of disease, discards those that are affected, and stores those in the barn that are whole. Much more time does he consume with his examination than he does in planting and harvesting his entire crop. And what a pitiful supply of whole wheat he has to show for his labors. How much more sensible for him to take care with his planting, to exercise caution against the disease of his crops by keeping them adequately sprayed and watered and cultivated. He will work far less and harvest far more. Thus it is with the prompters of the subconscious. They must be dealt with en masse at the roots of their beings, and all negative thinking and fear and hate must be cast out of the mind by choice at the center of consciousness. We are jealous of our love. We are fearful that we may lose our love objects, and our love objects are our very sustenance in life. They have so much power over our happiness that sometimes our love for them runs negatively and turns to hate for the space of an hour, a day, a week. We become fearful and apprehensive that we may lose the things we love, or they may turn against us, and resentment grows within us, and we strike out in our blindness. Oscar Wilde wrote, For each man kills the thing he loves, though each man does not die. And so the gallows and the barred cell are constant hosts to a procession of lost men and women whose love has run to hate. So close akin are the two when they are without the firm and solid foundation of unity with the universal subconscious mind. He who loves God and understands that God is love, loves all things. His love does not rest on the shifting sands of the world, nor does it wax hot and cold as the winds that blow, but he knows his complete oneness with the Father whose very essence is love. He seeks not, for he has all. Wherever his eye looks, he sees but a reflection of himself. All things return his love, and his prayers move the very foundations of the world. He prayeth best, who loveth best all things both great and small. Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Absolute love lies within. Love is the supreme law, for through it we throw off the bonds of separateness and perceive the great spiritual unity in which we have our being. Through love, we attain a rebirth of consciousness, unity with the universal mind, such as Jesus spoke of when he said, I say unto you that unless a man be born again, he shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. We need not strive for love. Love is within us, complete and absolute. It cries out for expression from the very depth of our being, though we lock it in. We consider it smart and adult to build a fence around love and submit to loneliness and pride and vanity. How dear to us our vain little airs are, and how smug. We hurt only ourselves. He who deprives himself of the expression of love deprives himself of all things. He hurts no one but himself. For love moves through all the universe, expresses itself through every bud and bush and flower and raindrop, and needs no man for its fulfillment. Love makes the world go. It will make you go too. Just let it. Creation springs from love. Life is creation, and all creation is a labor of love. Nothing springs full-bodied from the vast creativeness of the universal subconscious mind, unless there is, first, a desire to contribute to humanity. The essence of creativeness is love of life. For such love guides a man to do something better or bigger or more enlightening than has ever been done before. Such love catches a man in the great unity and the great purpose, and he instinctively perceives the direction in which life moves, becomes one with its efforts, contributes, and creates. Life seeks for knowledge, and creation is the measure of what has been learned. Thus creation is the purpose of life, and creation springs from love. Each of us has a talent, sometimes several, given especially to us, for through us, God has become something unique in the universe. Love develops our talents, sets us free to do the special work that we can do. No matter what else we do in life, we are never completely happy unless our talents are developed, unless our destinies are fulfilled, unless we enlarge the vision and knowledge of God for which all humanity strives. By allowing love to work in our lives as a power for good, we become free to develop our special gifts in accord with an expanding and seeking universe. We become free to contribute. This contribution, when it is individualized and expressed in such manner as is unique with each of us, advances all humanity along the road of knowledge and thus moves in accord with the very nature of life itself. The most pitiful spectacle of our time is presented by those people who do not realize that failure and unhappiness are their own fault. He whose cries of outrage and resentment are heard along life's pathways has yet his greatest lesson to learn. It is not fate or luck or an angry God that has dealt him his unsavory condition. It is himself. The perfect seed of success and happiness lies within each of us, and there is a channel in each of us through which it may become perfectly expressed. This channel is as manifold as there are numbers of people, but in every case it is opened only by love, and nothing may close it but the lack of love. Love or die. Love is the motivating law of life. On all sides of us, we see the inexorable command of the universe. Love or die. Through love, we serve, and by serving, we multiply abundance and good and knowledge and beauty and comfort. But through lack of love, we grow selfish and bitter and complaining, and we sow the seeds of hate and destruction, and we wither and die and detract from life. By working with love, we add all things unto ourselves, add all things unto humanity. God is love, said Jesus. He dwelleth within me, and I in him. He doeth the works. Thus the great teaching he left us is that all humanity dwells in love, and love dwells in all humanity, and all good things, great and small, are wrought by love. It avails a man little to recognize the law of thoughts becoming things if he has not love. Despite all his will to think only positively and to accept only the good, he will find his thinking warped into patterns of selfishness and bitterness and resentment every time he is faced with a crisis in his life. If love has not made itself fully known to him, he sees a hostile world about him and regards other people as hostile creatures bent on beating him or destroying him or taking from him. As long as this type of belief lies at the crux of his subconscious, he is creating an environment exactly the opposite of that which he wishes to have. Love never faileth, said Paul, but faith and knowledge and prophecy wither and vanish with time. Open your heart. It seems so difficult for us to open our hearts to love. We are so mindful of our petty little hurts and rejections, so super sensitive to the opinions and circumstances about us, so steeped in our own self-centeredness, so pulled in on our own little problems and victories and failures. We isolate ourselves from the great unity. Like hermits, we retire into our caves. Like hurt animals, we lie in lonely retreat and lick our fancied wounds. And always we build our walls to protect us from further hurt. Far from protecting us, our walls visit upon us the greatest hurt of all, for by them we slowly kill ourselves, not only physically, but mentally and spiritually as well. Open your heart. Allow love to enter. What matters a hurt when it is but a step toward fulfillment? Life is for living, and some experience of pain and sorrow is essential even to distinguish pleasure and joy. Wrote Walter Chalmers Smith, "There is no gain except by loss. There is no life except by death. There is no vision but by faith." Love heals the body, comforts the lonely hour, illumines the darkest path, redeems from sin and evil, brings prosperity, overcomes fear, builds character, and reveals the meaning of life. Love or suffer. As individuals in this great God-seeking drama we know as life, we have but two main choices: love or suffer. Every moment of every day we are engaged in the spiritual force of creating. We hope, plan, consider, desire, act, speak, fear, use our will, love, hate, are joyful, embittered. Always we are creating. There is only one force in the entire universe. It creates all things according to what we conceive, accept, and allow. The right use of this power creates a blessing. The wrong use creates a harm, even a disaster. This power pervades the universe, is in all things, is all things. It serves us or masters us according to our perception. But the choice is always up to us. This power is accessible to all men, and all of it is accessible to any man. It works for evil through hate and resentment and bitterness and coldness. It works for good only through love. Love recognizes that all things are accomplished through the many manifestations of God. Love sees that all things are the one thing that lies back of all creation. Love knows that your neighbor is yourself, that your enemy is yourself, that there is only one power behind all space and time and form. Love understands that God is sought by everyone, each working in his own way toward his own vision, and each sustaining the other through his discoveries. Love knows that each man advances all men. Love knows that the only activity worthy of man's heirship of God is creation. Love fuses all beings and all life into a great common purpose, to share and contribute and advance along the common path toward God. God is love. Life is love. We are love. He who denies love denies himself and destroys his part in the human drama. All the evil prompters of the subconscious mind are buried memories of love rejections and love frustrations. They form dams that prohibit the free flow of love through our consciousness. They engender bitterness and fear and hate as subconscious hostilities, and they bring evil into our world in opposition to that which we consciously desire. Love or suffer, love or die, for the lack of love attracts evil, but the presence of love attracts good. The frustration of love. Humanity strives for love from the cradle to the grave. Every moment of every day, every task we undertake, every word we utter, every opinion we have, every pose we assume are all aimed at achieving the feeling of being loved, or coping with the feeling that we are not loved. Each neurosis and psychosis has its roots in love frustration. Each disease, illness, accident, revolution, war, and disaster has its roots in love frustration. Blindly, all humanity searches for a love object. Sensitively, we recoil from each rebuff. Silently, we withdraw our love within the fortress of forgetfulness and post sentinels of hostility, despair, ruthlessness, and cruelty at the gates to be sure that love will neither enter nor depart. And so we kill our hopes and our very lives. How unattainable love seems to most of us. How complex our spiritual natures and our emotional drives. Yet the answer is appallingly simple. Lower the barriers. Love is God, is the universal subconscious mind. And God dwells within each of us, constantly seeking expression and outlet. The perfect seed of love is within, said Jesus. Be thou perfect, even as thy heavenly Father is perfect, said John. Love lies in this, not in our love for him, but in his love for us. And love for him is complete in us. Perfect love is in each of us, constantly seeking outlet. All we have to do is let it. Banish false pride and vanity. You are neither better nor worse than anything that exists. We all depend on each other for our very existence. Men have not advanced by fighting and hating and competing, but by being brothers at labor toward a common goal. Love is the unfurled flag at the head of the ranks. By it we survive and progress. Without it we perish. We must love and we must accept love. If we fail in either, we defeat ourselves. If mankind fails in either, the purpose of life is defeated. Love is the power for good that surges heavenward all through the universe. It is forever trying to express infinite good through you. Give all things to the goodness and greatness of the perfect self that dwells within you. Release all feelings of hatred, bitterness, unhappiness, and depression. Surrender your will and your guidance to God, love, the universal subconscious mind, with complete trust and perfect serenity. Look with the eyes of love. Listen with the ears of love. Speak with the tongue of love. Think with the mind of love. Feel with the heart of love. On all of life's pathways, you walk hand in hand with God. Love and sexuality. The most important love expression of mankind is sexuality. In this relation between a man and a woman in the sexual act is expressed the complete physical, psychic, and spiritual hunger of one being for another. No other activity or expression of mankind provides such a total outlet for love as the sex act, but yet how little it is understood and how abused. Physical love provides the basis for most of our literature, art, music, drama, and has given birth to endless tomes of stilted and inhibited expositions on the place of sexuality in life. Humanity foists upon itself a false attitude towards sex, and each man is secretly ashamed that he varies sexually from what he assumes his fellows to be. The end and aim of the sexual act is not procreation. It is the expression of love. When the world has finally thrown out the window all sham and deceit and maliciousness and self-chastisement, it will finally come to understand that the conception and birth of offspring are incidental to love between a man and a woman, and never the cause of it. It is indeed very obscure why mankind has saddled itself with the painful belief that the sex act is only morally right when it is for the purpose of procreation. Animals are bred that way. The emotional search of each man and each woman to give and to receive, to possess and be possessed, is fully realized in the sex act when there is a free flow of unimpeded love between the partners. It is sexuality that provides us with a human outlet and a human expression of divine love. According to how a person is possessed by love, his sex life will be uplifting, indifferent, degrading, or agonizing. It will be an expression of love, or it won't be. If it is not, he is out of tune with life, and his sexual dissatisfaction is but a symptom. The desire for fusion. Love is the recognition of our true being and the dim remembrance of the complete unity from which we all have sprung. Love is the great motivation to re-experience this unity. Love is the desire for fusion. We desire this fusion because it rewards us with pleasure. Thus there is an erotic basis for all love, whether expended on art, beauty, other persons, or even inanimate objects. All love is sexual in nature, for love is the desire to give pleasure and receive pleasure. No work of art, no bit of prose or poetry, no spell-binding speaker, no bridge or building, no scientific discovery or medical advance has ever inspired in a single human breast, but a fraction of the pleasure that is known by millions of people daily through the simple act of sex. Thus it is again nature, which has provided the best mechanism of all for the understanding of love. But as always, man sets about attempting to thwart nature before he has the good sense to cooperate with her. Active and vigorous sex lives, unimpeded by inhibition and witches' tales, express the fullness of love that dwells within every human heart. There is no such thing as licentiousness, debauchery, and lasciviousness when love is present. Sexual excesses are the product of the absence of love. Promiscuous sexual contacts are always the symptom of a person who is lost from love and is endlessly seeking fulfillment through varied sexual experiences. He is doomed to eternal disappointment until he discovers that satisfactory sexual experience is the result of love and never the cause. The great fulfillment. Man is a monogamous creature because he needs an object for his love, an object that not only accepts his love, but returns it as well. Because of the sexual nature of his body, he fastens his affections on some person of the opposite sex. One of the great satisfactions of life is finding a mate and obtaining the great human expression of love through sexual union. Without this primary love fulfillment, a man pursues countless wraiths through all of his days in search of a fusion that has escaped him. He may turn his love to art, to business, to science, to endless numbers of activities. But in the end, they all pall on him, and he becomes sad and pessimistic and defeated. For he has denied his own humanity, which is physical, and thus his love has never been complete. The poet Shelley wrote, "That profound and complicated sentiment which we call love is the universal thirst for a communion, not merely of the senses, but of our whole nature, intellectual, imaginative, and sensitive. The sexual impulse, which is only one and often a small part of those claims, serves from its obvious and external nature as a kind of type of expression of the rest, a common basis, an acknowledged and visible link. No one will deny that sexual intercourse can give pleasure. What unholy masochism prompts us ever to believe that such pleasure is sinful or wrong? We didn't make our bodies and couldn't if we tried. Do we presume to state that the great Creator made a mistake by accompanying sex relations with pleasurable sensations? It is just as sensible for us to say that it is sinful for eyes to see, and to set about forming organizations for the putting out of people's eyes. Oh, the prophets of evil and shame and fear and hate have made their inroads when they have woven into our racial thinking the hideous tendency to believe that everything painful is good and everything pleasurable is evil. We have martyred ourselves too long. Sex is life, expressing love. When people have learned to love, when they know that love is divine and fills the whole universe and themselves, when they realize there is no fulfillment in life when love is denied, the world will see an end to the failure of marriages. For when love is free to enter a man's world through his heart, it will pervade all the things he touches. It will find perfect expression in his sex life with his mate, for we are all of the same nature, and all seek the same fulfillment, and we shall all find it through love, for love never fails. Sex is an outlet of love, and left to love will be good and great and joyful. In the words of Havelock Ellis, it is passion, more passion and fuller, that we need. The moralist who bans passion is not of our time. His place these many years is with the dead. For we know what happens in a world when those who ban passion have triumphed. When love is suppressed, hate takes its place. The least regulated orgies of love grow innocent beside the orgies of hate. It is passion, and ever more passion, that we need if we are to undo the work of hate, and if we are to add gaiety and splendor to life, to the sum of human achievement, to the aspiration of human ecstasy. The universe dances and sings and buds and blooms and builds. All of life clings one to the other, serves one another in a great common purpose. Love pervades all. Love is behind all. Love is the great goal. God is love. And there is nothing sinful or shameful about God. All the universe is caught up in the work of love, in the work of fusion, in the work of sex. Sex is life, expressing love. Thus, your sex life, your relationship with your mate expresses always your own understanding of love. But love never proceeds into the understanding solely through the relationship of a man with his mate. The understanding of true love comes only from the relationship of man with his spirit, of man with the universal subconscious mind, of man with God. No human being can truly love another unless he first knows of the love of God. The kingdom of love is the kingdom of heaven, and exists within each man and woman. A man who loves God loves life, loves himself, and the nature of his lovingness will eternally come back to him. His marriage will be a perfect fusion of his understanding of love, and all the things of the world will shower him with goodness. In the words of Emerson, love asks nothing but does all receive. The truth about hate. Ours is a world of many conflicts because we are still ignorant. On all sides of us we see the contending forces of good and evil. Many people would have us believe that evil is as much a reality as good. They would have us believe that there are two opposing forces at work in the universe, God and the devil. Such people are accepting opinion evolved during the darkest ages of mankind, when all things were judged by appearances. The slightest thought on the matter makes it apparent that both God and the devil could not exist. There can only be one creator. God couldn't make the devil, and the devil couldn't make God. There is only one truth behind the universe. If you accept the devil as being this truth, you are forced into believing that truthful things are hate, violence, robbery, murder, war, ugliness, poverty, disease, and chaos, and all goodness is false. If you accept God as being this truth, you are perceiving that truthful things are love, peace, work, constructiveness, neighborliness, beauty, abundance, health, and order, and all evil is false. The choice is obvious. All evil is false, is illusion. Then what is the truth about hate? The truth about hate is love. Hate is simply love moving in the wrong direction. Hate is simply love turned upon itself. In the ancient Dhammapada, we find hatred does not cease by hatred. Hatred ceases by love. Thus it is that Jesus advised to turn the other cheek or to love your enemies. Love always overcomes hatred, for love is the truth about hatred. Find a man who hates, and you will find a man who believes he is hated. Find a man who resents, and you will find a man who believes he is resented. Find a man who is bitter, and you will find a man who believes life is treating him bitterly. Find a man who is hopeless, and you will find a man who believes that no one cares for him. The common belief of all who deny love is their conviction that life does not love them. So it is that all evil is born of rejected love. So it is that a man must first know that he is beloved of God and of life before he allows love to operate through him. Love creates, produces, heals, comforts, guides, illumines. He who makes himself one with love makes himself one with God, and God works through him. Trust love. We exist in a world which is striving to know and understand itself. Each of us is a miraculous manifestation of that world. There's a great unknown spirit working in and through every man, woman, and child in the universe. This spirit is seeking to know. We serve the ends of Almighty God by living and loving and learning, by lifting up our eyes to the stars, by asking questions, by searching for answers. Life is the supreme adventure. The deathless, sleepless spirit within us leads us ever onward to a higher good. We cannot fail if we keep our hearts filled with love and faith. Trust love. For when you trust love, you trust God. We are all children sitting at the knee of a loving Father whose purpose we will fathom in time. What is going on is a great and good thing, and we are part of it. We shall always be a part of it. We shall finally be one with it. We need not be perfectly happy every minute of every day, for perfect happiness only comes with perfect knowledge. But by trusting in the great and good ends of life, and by knowing that the door to the mystery swings on the hinges of love, we shall never lose faith in our divinity and our ability to build a heaven here on earth. Know that truth is always the great and the good and the beautiful and the aspiring. Close your eyes, your ears, your mind, and your heart to all else. It is illusion. Says the Bhagavad Gita, there is no existence for that which is unreal. There is no non-existence for that which is real. The adventure of life. One desire pervades the universe, the desire for love. Through this desire, all things are created. Our songs, our stories, our paintings, our engines and machines, our cities and schools, our churches and stores. The hunger of mankind is to know the love of the great Creator. In all lands, men are supplicating God to join with them in some enterprise. Each of two warring nations calls on God to aid it in the fight. But men are beginning to realize that God doesn't join anybody. People join God. God is love moving according to law. We must move over on God's side rather than ask Him to move over on ours. God's side is the side of love. When man moves towards love, he moves toward God, toward the foundation on earth of the brotherhood of man, peace, happiness, and knowledge. This adventure of ours, this life we live, has caught us in the miracle of all creation. We create by our thought and our desire. How precious are the chambers of thought within us. Whatever we think is visited upon us in this world. Learning how to think and how to love, how to create through the use of universal mind, are the main businesses of our lives. According to how we learn these laws, all things come to us. Every thought we think, every desire we have, every mood we invite, each emotion we undergo is projected into the great creative substance of the universal subconscious mind to be manifested in the world about us. What a miracle! But also, what a responsibility. We as easily visit evil upon ourselves as we visit good. For according to how we think and believe, so is it done to us. Every minute of every day we are using the greatest power in the universe for good or for evil. Only a fool or a madman would deliberately use this power for evil. God's will is love, and by following love as the guiding law of life, we follow God's will and thus have infinite power. Every thought attracted by love and accepted by faith will create good in your world. The mighty medicine. Society is love expressed by groups, men living together, working together, building together, helping each other, seeking common goals, attaining knowledge, are all brought about through love. We depend on each other for our very lives, for we are all one in reality and are nothing without each other. The cities and schools and institutions of our world have all been built through love. One man for the other, one neighbor for the other, husband for wife, parent for child. Every step we take toward the divinity that is ours is guided by the illumination of the love of God for man. And the love of God is complete in man through each step taken. Wondrous things are at work in the universe, and we need not see into the reaches of infinity to grasp their mighty import. Wrote Nietzsche, "Behind thy thoughts and feelings, my brother, there is a mighty Lord, an unknown sage. It is called self. It dwelleth in thy body." What a vision of splendor! What a mighty fate awaits each of us when we have returned once again home to know as we shall be known. There is no limit to love in the universe, and all of it is available to you. Put this mighty medicine to work in your life, and you will see such a healing and prospering and peace as will dazzle your very eyes. In your meditations, in the silent times, at the center of your consciousness, remember to think all things with love, and negative thoughts will be banished from your mind. Love bars the door of mind to the evil and the negative, and opens the door to the good and the positive. And from mind all things proceed. Yet the heart rules, always has ruled, always will. Whatever takes root in mind is first attracted by the heart, by love or hate, one or the other. Thus, by letting love into your heart, you bring good into your mind and into your life. By letting love into your heart, you banish hate. Hate cannot live with love. Trust in love. Trust all things to love. Think all things with love. Do all things with love. In this manner, you will walk with God, in tune with the infinite power of the universe. Review. 1. Love is the underlying unity of the universe. 2. Love is the supreme spiritual law. Love is God. 3. Humanity seeks love above all things. 4. True love is recognition of the spiritual unity of all life. 5. Frustrated love gives birth to fear and hate, gives birth to evil. 6. The absence of love is fear. The rejection of love is hate. 7. Love will cast out the prompters of the subconscious mind and never fails. 8. He who knows and believes in the love of God loves all things both great and small. 9. Complete and absolute love is within each of us. 10. All creation is but an expression of love. 11. On all sides of us we see the commands of the universe: love or suffer, love or die. 12. Faith and knowledge are nothing without love. 13. By our fancied hurts, by our sensitive egos, we isolate ourselves, develop fear and hate, create evil in our lives. 14. All unhappiness, every neurosis, every psychosis, all illness, accident, disaster, all evil are born of rejected love. 15. Love works through all who surrender their hearts and works only with surrender. 16. Spirit is always perfect and love is always perfect. The imperfect things of our world are the result of our imperfect knowledge of love. We are going to perfect knowledge. 17. Sexuality is mankind's most complete expression of love. 18. A satisfactory sex life is the result of love and never the cause. 19. Throughout the universe, sex is life expressing love. 20. Love of man for woman and woman for man is a manifestation of the love of God for all mankind. 21. Love creates, produces, heals, comforts, guides, and illumines. 22. Man creates through his thought and desire, projecting into universal subconscious mind. What he thinks and desires, with love, creates good. What he thinks and desires in the absence of love creates evil. 23. By becoming one with love, we become one with the power of the universal subconscious mind. The conquering idea. These are the tools we deal with. We think, we love, and we believe. Through thought we attain knowledge. Through love we attune ourselves with universal mind. Through belief we transform thoughts into things. These three tools, understood and used, bring power. Slowly the world is awakening to the truth. Gradually the light of man's spiritual splendor and destiny is penetrating into our schools and social institutions, into our business houses, into our governments. A common Father binds all men together in a great and irrevocable bond. Through love alone will we be guided to our destination. Make our lives on earth great and good and abundant. This is the message that Jesus brought. It will win the universe for man. In the words of Albert Schweitzer, sooner or later the idea here put forth will conquer the world. For with inexorable logic, it carries with it both the heart and the head. Recommended reading: Change Your Life Through Love by Stella Terrell Mann.